All right, let's talk about Hardin Valley in West Knoxville. If you're thinking about moving there, you've got a massive decision on your hands. Should you build a brand new home from scratch or just buy one that's already there? Today, we're going to dig into the numbers and figure it out.
So first things first, why is everyone so obsessed with Hardin Valley? Well, it's a total hotspot, right? You've got these incredible views, the schools are top-notch, and the location, it's just perfectly sandwiched between Oak Ridge and downtown Knoxville. And all that demand is exactly why this whole build versus buy question is so critical.
But here's the thing. That popularity means if you want to call this place home, you're standing at a giant fork in the road. You've got two completely different ways to get there, and believe me, they come with very different price tags and timelines.
Okay, so on one hand, you could build from the ground up, you get total control, every little detail is yours, but man, it's complex. On the other hand, you can buy a house that's already standing. It's way simpler, but hey, what you see is what you get. So let's jump into the 2025 numbers and see what this all really looks like on paper.
Okay, let's start with the easy one, buying an existing home. This is going to give us our baseline, our starting point for this whole comparison.
You know, people call Hardin Valley a move-up market. And what that really means is that even a smaller starter-type home is going to start you in the mid-400s. Most family homes, you're looking somewhere between $550,000 and $750,000. These are pretty solid, predictable numbers. It gives us a really clear picture. But what happens when you decide to build?
All right, now for the other side of the coin, building a house from scratch. And this is where things get, well, a lot more complicated. There are some huge variables here we really need to break down.
See, to really get the full picture on cost, you have to think about it in three main chunks. First, you've got to buy the land. Second, you have to prep that site. And third, well, you actually have to build the house.
Let's talk land first. A standard lot in a subdivision, just a regular quarter acre, that can set you back over 120 grand. And if you want a little more room to breathe or one of those killer views from a ridge, oh yeah, you're easily looking at $250,000, and you haven't even thought about a single 2x4 yet.
Okay, this next part is so important because it's the one thing almost everybody underestimates. You have to remember, Hardin Valley is not flat. Getting a piece of land that's hilly or covered in trees ready to build on, that is a huge, huge job with a potentially huge price tag.
I mean, just look at this chart. If you're lucky enough to find a flat lot, you might get away with spending, say, $10,000 to $25,000 on prep. No big deal. But a steep lot with a bunch of trees, which is super common out there, you could be looking at over 100 grand just for grading and retaining walls. That one factor can absolutely blow up your entire budget.
And finally, we get to the actual house. The name of the game here is price per square foot, and this is where every single choice you make adds up. A pretty basic build, you're starting around $175 a square foot. But the second you start talking about high-end finishes, custom cabinets, all the fancy stuff, that number can double. Easy.
So, we've looked at all the pieces of the puzzle. Now it's time for the main event. Let's put these two options head-to-head in a real-world scenario and see what shakes out.
And here it is, plain and simple. Let's say we're talking about a 3,000 square foot home. You can go buy one that's already built for about $660,000 and you can move in tomorrow. Or you can build that same sized house and you're looking at a bill of at least $930,000 and you won't be moving in for over a year.
Yeah, let that number sink in for a second. We're talking about a difference of more than $270,000. That's how much more it could cost you to build instead of buy. That's a lot of money. It's a massive premium to pay for a new house.
And we can't just brush past that timeline, that 10 to 14 months. That's not just sitting back and waiting. No way. It's a constant stream of decisions, dealing with permits, waiting on inspections, and praying there are no delays with weather or materials. It's a serious commitment, not just of money, but of your time and your sanity.
So, the numbers are pretty black and white, right? But look, the final call isn't just about spreadsheets and dollar signs. It's about what you value, what your priorities are. Let's talk about those trade-offs. So why buy? Simple. It's faster. It's cheaper. You know exactly what you're getting. What's the catch? Well, you can't really change it much. And yeah, you might be dealing with an older furnace or roof sooner rather than later. Now, building is the polar opposite. You get complete control. Every single thing is brand spanking new. It's energy efficient. It's under warranty. The price you pay for that control, it's a much higher cost, a much longer wait. And this thing called decision fatigue, it's real, and it comes from having to pick out every doorknob and light switch.
So let's circle all the way back to the beginning. After everything we've looked at, which option is actually going to save you money in 2025?
And the verdict is crystal clear. Right now, in this market, buying an existing home in Hardin Valley is cheaper, period. The all-in cost of land, getting that land ready, and the actual construction is just way higher than what you'll pay for a house that's already standing.
But, and this is a big but, just because one path is cheaper doesn't mean it's the right one for you. Ultimately, this whole thing really just boils down to one final personal question. So, what's more important to you, your budget or your blueprint? Is the top priority to save money and get moved in fast? Or is it to build that perfect dream house you have in your head, no matter the extra cost and time? Only you know the answer to that. And your answer tells you everything you need to know about whether you should build or buy.